Hey everybody, this is Jim.
And Jeremy.
And we are on show number 40. And today we're going to be talking about some new music, 2023. And we're also going to be going over our top 15 albums that we liked from last year, from 2022. But first we have two more beers here. The first one, and this is from the same brewery from the last podcast, Duclaw from Maryland. And this beer is regular beer. I've seen this in the beer store and I finally got it. This is 4.9. A beer that tastes like beer.
Nice.
It's got a very simple label on it. Just black and white. Yeah, it tastes pretty good for a lager.
It is good.
Pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. We're 3 for 3 on 3 for 3 on tasty
beers. Yeah, I like
beers.
this brewery.
Yeah.
So there's some new music that came out already this year.
No way.
Yeah. First one is Iggy Pop.
Ooh.
Has a new album called Every Loser. And
sounds so uplifting.
Yeah. Now Iggy is 75.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And he's got some guest musicians on this album. We've got Duff McKagan on bass. He's on 3 songs. He's from Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
He is on 7 songs. Wait a minute, 7? He might be on the whole album. It says 1 to 6 and 8. Oh, percussion 2 to 5 and 8.
So song 7. No, but
7 songs. I think that's a total of 7. He's playing percussion and drums on some of the songs.
Oh, okay.
And interesting enough, Josh Klinghoffer, who was the guitarist for the Chili Peppers, before John Frusciante rejoined the band.
Okay.
Josh was on a couple Chili Peppers albums. But he's playing guitar, keyboards, piano, organ, bass guitar, synthesizer on different songs. We've got Travis Barker. He's on 1 track. Stone Gossard, Pearl Jam, guitar on 1 song. And Taylor Hawkins, the late Taylor Hawkins.
The Foo Fighters.
Yeah. He plays drums and piano on 1 song. And Dave Navarro is on 1 song from the Chili Peppers and Jane's Addiction. Oh,
there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that name, but not from the Chili Peppers.
So this is a great album if you want to check it out, Every Loser. I'm amazed at Iggy's voice. Iggy, there's 1 song where his voice is really, I think it's called, what's it called? Morning Show or something like that. Something like that. And he sounds like Bowie. His voice is real deep. And then other songs, his voice, there's 1 song he sounds like Alice Cooper.
Awesome.
And it's a really rocking album. I mean, this album, I'm going to remember, I might be talking more about it, next year when we do this. We have a new Miley Cyrus song. Now, I like Miley Cyrus. I didn't like her at first, but I like the new Miley, the more mature Miley. She has a new album called Endless Summer Vacation.
I did see that pop up.
And I think the song's called Flowers. And it's basically a song, it's kind of I don't call it pop, kind of in that genre, but it's a good song. I liked her last couple albums. I just saw Ricky Lee Jones, who I like from, Chucky's in Love. That song, I love that song when it came out a long time ago.
Yep.
But she has a new album coming out. That's not till April. Pieces of Treasure. And then we had someone email us, a singer, and I'd like to talk about her. She sent us an email. I'm going to read you her email. It says, "Hey, I'm Francesca. I'm a 14-year-old female singer, guitar player, and I love to rock. Some say I'm an old soul because of my taste in music. I love classic rock, punk rock, grunge, and even some country rock. I play rhythm, but also learning some killer leads. Currently learning Stairway to Heaven lead. Anyway, on January 6th, I released my first single called My Runaway. It's a rock song. Even has a guitar solo. And I played this for Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good song. And the guitar solo, I was like, I guess I didn't read her email all the way through before I listened to the song. Because I was just, really good guitar solo in there. And I thought I had the guy's name who plays guitar. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I don't think I have it. Anyway, so it's guitar, drums, and she is singing. This song's about being somewhere you shouldn't, and you have to get out of there, but you're worried about what people are going to think. She says, thanks for listening. I hope you like it. And she's on Instagram and Facebook, Francesca Tarantino. And she gave us permission to play part of her song. So we're going to do that now. It's called My Runaway. We're going to play a little bit of it so you can hear it.
So much I can take, my inner voice is screaming out loud. One step, here where you're going. 2 steps, come back and party. 3 steps, should have been out the door. Oh, it's just so hard to escape, but I just gotta take some time away from here. Oh, what are they gonna think? Ditching out so quick, running away. I gotta run away.
Okay, so that was My Runaway. And so you get a little bit of taste for that. And she also told me she has got 3 or 4 more songs she's writing. I'm very anxious to hear, her new music. Maybe she'll put out an album. I think she has really great potential.
Yeah, I'd be eager to listen to a full album,
Yeah.
especially, listening to the vocals, listening to the music. It works very well together. But just knowing also that someone is writing their own music. They don't need someone to write it for them.
Yeah.
Be original, be creative, get that out there. That's what's going to be successful, in my opinion.
Oh, so I do have the name of the person who's playing guitar is actually her producer and guitar teacher, Mike Walker. He's from Dreamwalker Music Evolution in Orlando. Yeah, so check out Francesca, if I'm saying her first name right, Francesca Tarantino, My Runaway. And we always like to hear from new artists. If you have any new songs you want us to hear and talk about, and hopefully we can play part of it if we like it. And you can email us at knowgoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. And that's KNOW, good music. I'm sure you know that. So we're going to start off. We're also going to talk about, I forgot to mention this first. We're going to talk about some concert highlights from last year. And I found a website that had, a list of concerts. And these are not ones that, I don't think we've been to any of these. What the hell's wrong? I need a drink.
Give me a drink. Son of a bitch.
So the first concert is Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. He did a U.S. tour last year, and he's starting up a European tour, I think, in March. And we did talk to someone who is in his band recently, if you want to listen to that interview, and his name is Robert Walter, similar to Roger Waters. So Roger had, his tour was called This Is Not a Drill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a memorable one.
All the reviews I heard on that one were fantastic.
And you can go on YouTube, and the visuals are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had ZZ Top toured last year. After they did returned to the stage 2 days after the death of Dusty Hill. And but they spent most of last year on the road. And then we got Joni Mitchell, who we hadn't heard from in a while. She made a surprise appearance at the 2022 Newport Folk Festival. She appeared on stage to perform a 13-track set with singer-songwriter Brandi Carlile. And that was her first appearance at Newport since 1969 and her first public performance since 2013. So almost 10 years.
Wow.
She had a brain aneurysm in 2015. So she's kept mostly a low profile. And so she did songs Big Yellow Taxi, Case of You, and she played guitar on a few songs. Then we got Sir Paul McCartney. His final stop on the Got Back tour was in New Jersey. And he was joined by Bruce Springsteen and John Bon Jovi.
Your favorite.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that. No, I do like McCartney and Bruce.
I know.
But, so Bruce did Glory Days and I Want to Be Your Man. And later he returned to play guitar on The End with Paul. Let's see, John Bon Jovi appeared with a bouquet of balloons in hand and led the audience in a happy birthday sing-along to Paul McCartney, who turned 80 2 days later. That was sweet.
There you go. You can't screw that one up.
But the highlight was image and audio of John Lennon from the Beatles' Get Back film, projected behind Paul McCartney. I did see video of this, and he sang I Got a Feeling on stage, and, with John Lennon. So that was pretty touching. We got Jack White. He released 2 albums last year. And he also, he proposed to his girlfriend, Olivia Jean, whose band had played earlier in the evening. And this was in Detroit on April 8th. And during the encore, White and Jean married on stage.
Wow.
With Third Man Records, that's Jack's label, co-founder Ben Swank serving as officiant. Then we got a bittersweet one, which is Genesis. Phil Collins, who can no longer play drums.
Yep.
They've been performing for over 50 years. They embarked on the last Domino farewell tour, kicked off in September 2021, and it came to a close on March 26, 2022. The final show featured a 23-song set, in which the 3 of them delivered material from throughout the band's career. Highlights Land of Confusion, acoustic performance of The Land Lies Down on Broadway, and Invisible Touch. The final tune of the night was The Carpet Crawlers. I don't know that one.
Not by title.
Even though a reunion with former singer Peter Gabriel wasn't in the cards, the singer attended the final Genesis performance, showing support for his former bandmates.
That's good.
Then we got Taylor Hawkins' tribute concert. Taylor Hawkins, drummer of the Foo Fighters, unfortunately passed away.
Yep.
I think he was he just 50?
He was not very old.
Yeah.
That concert was awesome. I saw so many different clips from that tribute show.
Oh, yeah. It was 2 nights of music. First concert took place on September 3rd in London. And we had Liam Gallagher from Oasis, Brian Johnson, AC/DC, Wolfgang Van Halen, Justin Hawkins, The Pretenders, Stuart Copeland, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson from Rush, Lars Ulrich, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and Paul McCartney. And then many of the acts returned on September 27th in Los Angeles with Joan Jett, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Def Leppard, Sebastian Bach, Geezer Butler, among others. So, yeah, and check that out if you haven't. I'm sure there's, stuff on YouTube. Then we got Bono and The Edge went to Ukraine. They got an invitation from President Zelensky, and they performed inside a subway station in Kiev, which was being used as a bomb shelter. It was an intimate 40-minute acoustic set. And Bono praised Ukrainians for their courage and resiliency as they battled Russia's invasion. So that's the most memorable concert from last year. So now we're gonna get into our top 15. I think Jeremy has 15 albums. I have 15. Before that, we're gonna try our second beer. Oh, and this is Relaxed Fit.
Relaxed Fit, like the jeans.
Oh, this looks sparkly. Why is this sparkly?
I don't know. Maybe it's apple cider.
No, it's an IPA. It's a 4-hop blend. It's got Matuska, Lemon Drop, Bultana, and Simcoe. That's just a 4.8, so that's a light IPA.
Yeah. That one's got the least
Do you want me to
taste.
go first?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, so...
before you start, I have a feeling we're going to match on a few of these.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that as I was writing them down. I'm like, oh, boy.
I think we're going to have some similar ones.
But we have similar taste in music, so it wouldn't be completely surprising, I guess.
So I have criteria. That's 4 things for an album.
Okay.
Is the album as a whole. You can't have a great album if there are only like 2 great songs on an album, of course, and the rest is not that great. It's a feeling for the album. The album has to make me smile when I listen to it, or have a good flow going on, make you feel good about listening to it. Not like one of the other albums from the last podcast, Jeremy said, put them to sleep.
Yeah.
First impression too. When I first hear an album, especially the first track, second track, then you want to continue, listening.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
So the artist has to, I think, pick their best songs for pick their best songs for the first couple tracks.
I think a great example is the song we played earlier in the podcast. I would want to listen to that again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also playability, wanting to listen to the album again in the near future. Not like just, okay, that was okay. It has to be of course, a great album that you're going to want to listen to again.
Yep. So
I don't know how we're going to do this. If we want to, do you have exactly 15?
I have actually 14, unfortunately, but I don't have them in any certain order. So.
Oh, I do. Well, I could start from the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, some of my best ones are at the bottom. I think my order is calendar year from beginning to end.
Okay.
Because I went through January to December.
Okay. Well, I'll start with 15.
Okay.
And it's one we mentioned before, Angel Olsen. And I think she was Pace number 7. Rolling Stone had it at number 18. It's considered alternative. She's from St. Louis. And she's now living in Asheville, North Carolina. This is a sweet, simple, honest album. Now, I think even though it's alternative, some of the songs have a little twang going on. Not fully country, but there's something interesting going on there. Most of the songs are slow-paced. And once you know what inspired this album, it'll make you love the album even more. Because in 2021, 3 days after she came out to her parents, her father died. And soon after, her mother died. So this album explores the light of new love alongside the dark devastation of loss and grief. She started the album just 3 weeks after her mother's funeral. So that's what's brought, what she brought to this album. So you can feel it, Songs to check out are Big Time, Ghost On, All the Flowers. That's a really beautiful song. This Is How It Works. You can feel the emotion in her voice on that song. And she also, on this song, there's a band. Well, I thought it was a girl, but Maisie Starr. There's a song called "Fade Into You," so it kind of has that feel. That song. So that's my number 15.
Okay. First album on my list is one that you may have. It was the Scorpions' "Rock Believer."
That's not on my list.
Okay. This was their 19th studio album. First album with Mickey D playing the drums. And it was the longest gap between previous releases. There was a 7-year gap.
Oh, wow.
Between the last album and this album. I love the Scorpions. I love classic Scorpions. I loved pretty much everything that they've put out. I can't think of a bad album off the top of my head that I was like, oh man, I never want to hear that particular album again. But what I liked about this was it got back to their roots while adding in a little bit of new. And it was a good welcome back rock album, in my opinion, for the Scorpions.
I did like that album. I just had so many other ones.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Knock 'Em Dead was my favorite song on the album. That was the 3rd track. There was a song called The Wild, 10th track. I really liked that. But ultimately, there wasn't any track on this album that I was skipping over. Mm-hmm. You touched on it at the beginning when your 4 criteria for an album. When this first came out, I played it 3 or 4 times at my office desk.
Yeah,
back to back to back.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's kind of a theme on my list. There's probably 5 or 6 albums that I was able to do that with. Mm-hmm. But that's exactly your criteria hit the nail on the head, because when you can do that, you've got a winner.
Yeah.
And this one for me was an instant winner.
Mm-hmm. So number 14. Some of these, Jeremy, I'm sure you never heard of.
That's okay.
Young Gun, Silver Fox. And I want your mom to listen to this album.
Okay.
It's considered indie rock, but it sounds like it came right out of the 70s. Uh-huh. And who thought you could create yacht rock better than the original yacht rock? But it's got great arrangements, all original songs, and they sometimes sound like early Hall & Oates. Little Steely Dan. So if you want something new, reminds me of your youth, or for the youngins, your parents' old music, check this out. I don't really have any. I like this. It's hard to pick. And again, this album. Why don't I have the name here? Oh crap! Can you look up Young Guns or not Young? Yeah, Young Gun, Silver Fox.
West Side Jet.
Yeah, that's a song.
Oh,
it's not giving you the album.
No.
No, that's the song I wanted to mention anyway.
Ticket to Shangri-La?
Oh, yeah, that's it. So the name of the album is Ticket to Shangri-La. And if there's one song, check out it's West Side Jet. I'm just amazed that they can recreate, but not recreate it so that you're like, oh, I've heard this before. It's like they could have come out in the 70s and had a lot of hit songs just from this one album. So it's Young Gun, Silver Fox. I also take it, there's a guy on the cover with really long hair, and he looks older than the other guy. So I'm thinking he's Silver Fox, and the other guy's I don't know. I didn't look up how they got their name, but
okay.
So
all right. Second on my list was 3 Days Grace. The album was called Explosions. Came out May 6th of 2022. This was their 7th studio album. 3 Days Grace is a Canadian rock band, if you don't know. This was their 3rd album with a new lead singer, Matt Waste. 3 Days Grace is a band that I actually saw live. Mm-hmm. They were one of 3 openers, maybe. It was like a 4-band performance. And I went to the concert going, yeah, I've heard of 3 Days Grace. Mm-hmm. I left the concert going, holy shit. Uh-huh. I didn't realize how many songs I actually knew by 3 Days Grace. So I had to, of course, dig deeper into their music.
Mhm.
And there's certain bands that when something gets released, I'm going to check it out. Their last album was a total dud for me.
Mhm.
So this one, I was a little hesitant,
Mhm.
but it was similar to the Scorpions album. Played it a couple of times. The first time
Mhm.
I listened to it, absolutely loved it. There was a few singles, So-Called Life, Lifetime, and I Am the Weapon. I really liked I Am the Weapon. That was probably my favorite song on the album.
Mhm.
New lead vocalist does sound a little different than the original, but he definitely still captures that same tune, beat, I don't know how you want to, rhythm of
The same
3
tone,
Days Grace. Yeah. So you don't feel like you're losing anything with a new singer.
I've heard the name, but I couldn't name any songs. I don't know if I know any songs. I've heard the name of the band.
I bet you do. I don't even know it.
Okay, so my number 13 is Orville Peck, album called Bronco. And this is a country album. But Orville sings like a cross between Roy Orbison and Elvis. And his voice is like melted butter. One thing about Orville, he never shows his face. He wears a cowboy hat and either a bandana or veil over his nose and mouth. And sort of like the singer Orion, who wore a mask over his eyes. People thought he was Elvis. So check out the song Hexy Mountains. That'll give you a feel for what Orville sounds like. Like I said, incredible voice. So my number 12 is a band called, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but Soraia, Soraia, album Bloom. This band is from Philadelphia, and it's led by singer Zuzu Mansour. This album kicks ass in the spirit of early Heart, The Pretenders, even Alice Cooper. In fact, the second song on the album, Tight Lipped, you'd like this album, Jeremy, has a guitar riff that sounds pretty close to Detroit City, which is an Alice Cooper song. Mm-hmm. But check out Seek Fire and Hammer and the Anvil. So just by the name of the songs, Jeremy, I know you
those
like
sound
that.
cool. They do.
On those songs, on those two songs, the guitar riffs sound like AC/DC.
Oh, nice.
Except both songs have a pretty catchy chorus, and could have been radio hits back in the day. And then Hammer and the Anvil sounds like something maybe Scandal would do. So not too hard, but not, too light. That song Goodbye to You.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of in that tone there.
Okay.
But great voice, got a great rock and roll voice. I think I first heard of them through Little Steven. Sometimes he'll post bands that I don't get Sirius Radio, but I think you can go on like Underground Garage on their page and see what he's playing. I'm not sure where I heard, or this might have been an album that came out on a Friday, and I just because that's what I do. I just scroll through the albums and okay, maybe I'll like that one, especially if it's rock, alternative. I'll listen to it. So
third one on my list was Shinedown, Planet Zero. I've mentioned that one on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. This was a pre-order for me. Got a signed copy from the band. I'm a big Shinedown fan. This was their 7th album. Interesting tidbit of info. This is the first album to top the all-genre Billboard chart in sales for the band, which was surprising to me because I thought that their success, they would have had more sales prior. Interesting, I guess, to me for this album was it almost felt like they added an electrical feel as opposed to just rock. So they added, and it's hard to explain, but I want to say on top of, instruments, like a computer generated electric type of sound to go with it. And it really enhanced a lot of the tracks, in my opinion. Gave them a different sound while still maintaining their roots of what they're supposed to sound like. Planet Zero, of course, the name of the album, the self-titled track, is a great song. But my favorite song on the album was Dead Don't Die. That was the 6th track. Again, same as the first two. I played this 4 or 5 times in the office, and I've gone back to this one several times since it first came out. So this probably would have easily been in my top 3 if I was ranking these albums in any particular order. I would strongly suggest this album to any rock fan, especially a Shinedown fan, but any rock fan in general.
And when you say office, that's your house, right?
No, I have to go in a couple days a week now.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it's my house, but no, actually, I take headphones and I am jamming out to Apple Music in the office now in my little cubicle.
You just picture you with speakers on the desk and just...
Nope, headphones.
Everybody rocking it.
Yep. We're hybrid now. We have to go in 2 days a week at least. So
I got number 11, which is TODD Rundgren. Space Force. This is considered prog rock, art rock, which I've never heard of. I don't know what art rock is.
I don't know.
But there's some good collaborations on this album. And Todd can do any type of music, throughout his extensive career. Because there's a song on here that's almost reggae, and it's with Rivers Cuomo from Weezer. And it's called Down with the Ship. Now, some of these songs are political, but they're not where... I just know Todd is being political, right? And I know where he stands. So the songs are not blatant, like, you have to kind of look into the song, like, okay, that's what I know what he's talking about. Now, Down with the Ship is about how things over the past years, or maybe even before COVID, a lot of people thought were going downhill. And I'm not going to get into that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the song's about, going down with the ship. And then we got Neil Finn. He's from Crowded House. And Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick on STFU. Another good song. And they don't say STFU. They actually say, shut the fuck up.
Nice.
And Rick's singing too. He's getting into it. And you got Steve Vai on the album. He's on Echo Warrior Goddess. So with Todd, you're going to get some weird name songs, some interesting stuff, but a little bit of everything. A great mix of different styles on this album. And it's as if Todd wrote a cover song album of original songs, if that makes sense, since none of the songs sound like the other. So that was my number 11.
Okay.
And I always like TODD Rundgren.
Oh, yeah, TODD Rundgren's great. I don't have a lot of information on this next one. I think you checked this album out as well, but this is a band that I've always followed. I don't want to say I'm like a hardcore fan of them, but it was Collective Soul. Vibrating was the album. It was mellow, but still had a rock element to it, and it was just, I don't know, it was different. It was unique. And as I listened to it, I found myself humming along. And I think that's why I enjoyed the album so much, because I instantly could get right into the beat of the music and just jam out, sing along, hum along.
I think it sounded like a Collective Soul album.
Yeah, but it was something new for them because they hadn't released anything for a while. Their previous album before that was 2019, but then even prior, we're going back to 2015. So, they don't have a lot out there over the last 10 years. So Collective Soul Vibrating. Check that one out.
So number 10, I have Tears for Fears,
Okay.
The Tipping Point. And this is their first album after 18 years. But if you're a fan of the 80s band Tears for Fears, of course, you know, the song Shout, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Mad World, you will not be disappointed. And they sound like they never left the 80s. But these songs are so complex in lyrics and sound. It's just an amazing album. So some songs to check out. First track, No Small Thing. It's a good send-off to the album since it's a slow acoustic song. Actually has a Lumineer sound. But I love the line, but I just have one more song to sing, one more story to tell. Which almost sounds like it might be their last album, even though it took them 18 years. Who knows? Two other songs are, and these are kind of upbeat songs, My Demons and End of Night. But I thought this album was, you know, I mean, it took them 18 years. Doesn't mean they were writing it for 18.
Right.
But you don't know. Over those 18 years, they could have been writing lyrics, right? You know. But the whole album complete is just phenomenal. Like I said, if you never like Tears for Fears, you're not going to like this album because it's nothing different.
Right.
I mean, it's different, but it's better than I think. I think it's as good as anything they put out back in the 80s. I think it's actually better because they've matured more, you know, songwriting. So check that out.
Okay. My next album I stumbled upon by mistake. It was a recommendation to me based on stuff that I had been playing. The band is called Wolfheart, and the album is called King of the North. So it's a very hard rock, heavy metal feel, and it came up based on my previous listening of Avenged Sevenfold, Iron Maiden, and bands like that. And I didn't even realize that I was listening to a different band because it just kind of came up. Like I was stuck in, I was working, and it came up and it started playing this album, and I didn't realize that it had even changed. So I wasn't bored, obviously. I was still able to work and focus, and I realized it on a song called The King, which was the 5th track of the album. And I was like, what am I listening to? This is really good. So there's only 9 tracks. It was only 45 minutes long. So it wasn't like, again, kind of the sweet zone of albums. 9 songs, 40, it was like 48 minutes. It's perfect. Yeah. And I listened to it and I had to go back and listen to it again because I wasn't so much focused on the music those first handful of songs. I wanted to know what I missed. And I loved it. It was a little harder than typically what I might listen to, but
is it like hard rock? Or?
It was hard rock, heavy metal type of feel. A lot of drums. But I loved it. And I would check the band out. Well, I have checked the band out further since this album. But
what is it, Wolfheart?
Wolfheart, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So number 9 is a band I've liked a long time, and one of my wife's favorite band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Unlimited Love. It's the first of 2 albums they put out in 2022 after a 6-year hiatus. Now, this is my theory too, is that they put out 2 albums, and I think they each had, I want to say 17 songs on each album, which is incredible, but why would you put 2 albums out in 1 year? I just don't understand, because what happened was when the first album came out, and it like I said, it was 6 years, I was really excited to listen to it, and I really liked the first album they put out, but the second one I didn't listen to that much. I think it was just too much material.
Too quickly.
I mean, 17 and 17.
Yeah.
And this one, I bought the vinyl.
It's like a Pearl Jam concert.
Yeah. So Unlimited Love, I bought the special silver vinyl. And this came out on April 1st. And then the other album is Return of the Dream Canteen. Came out October 14th. And like I said, it was refreshing to hear new music in April, but I think by October it was like, and we had seen them in concert in September, so it was almost like not them again. Maybe not. I like the Chili Peppers. And there are a couple songs on the second one I liked, but I just think they could have spread this out. They probably could have put out 3 albums over time, you know. And I think the fans would have been satisfied with, you know, an album this year, next year, and then the year after.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
You know, I like quality over quantity. So, and also not all the songs are great. I think there's a lot better songs on Unlimited Love than the second one. Number 9, like I said, is Unlimited Love, and I like Black Summer, Poster Child. Poster Child I love. There's a lot of just Anthony riffing, you know, real fast. Interesting song. The Great Apes, These Are the Ways, Bastards of Light. Love that song. But I'll also tell you the other album songs I like were Eddie, the great guitar solo at the end, and The Drummer, which I love the harmonies on, because the Chili Peppers aren't all about, you know, they're not a rap band, but I always thought Anthony sort of does kind of a, not quite Lou Reed-ish, but, you know, sort of rap, you know, just word after word. He has this kind of cadence about him with the way he sings.
And all the colored girls say, dude.
Yeah. But Flea and John do, you know, the harmonies on the Chili Peppers, when you listen, really listen when they do the harmonies, like Flea doing the high, you can hear him doing the high notes on the harmonies. You know, it's not just Anthony singing, you know, there's, and especially the newer albums, the songs are slowed down a little bit more.
Right.
So anyway, that was number 9 for me.
Okay. My next one up, I have a band that I actually want to go see here.
Okay.
In a few weeks.
Bon Jovi?
By the time this podcast drops, no, it is not Bon Jovi. They will be playing down in Atlantic City at the Ocean. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a comp room, or I probably would have already gone because tickets are pretty cheap.
Culture Club?
It's not Culture Club. It's Bush.
Oh, yeah.
The Art of Survival.
I like to see Bush. Oh, actually, that was another album I liked, but they're not on my list.
Great album.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this album. This was their 9th studio album, which actually surprised me because they've only been around since, I want to say, the early 2000s, maybe the late 90s. But that's a lot of albums in a short period of time. This album was just really good from top to bottom. Hard to pick out favorite tracks because I really liked so many of them, but Heavy as the Ocean is the opening track, gets you right into the album. More Than Machines I really liked. Shark Bite was really good. Human Sand was really good. Identity was really good. And then Gunfight was also, I guess those songs all stand out to me, but there really wasn't a bad song at all on this album. I have actually listened to this one so often that it's added as a favorite on my albums list. A lot of times I make track lists and just shuffle all kinds of various artists. This album is actually one of only like 10 albums that I have favorited. So,
okay, number 8 is maybe one that's on your list. Sammy Hagar and The Circle.
Yes, it is.
Crazy Times.
Yes, it is.
So this is the 3rd album by Sammy and The Circle, which is bassist Michael Anthony from Van Halen, guitarist Vic Johnson, and drummer Jason Bonham. Sammy's 75, just like Iggy. I think this is the best Sammy's sounded. Or let me just say, I think he sounds as good as he sounded when he was younger.
Yes, agreed.
Like there's no depletion of his voice or anything. I mean, he's not 95, you know.
Right.
I mean, 75 is old, but not, you know.
But he can still perform at 75.
He
not
looks
just,
good.
Not just sing. He's still in good physical shape. Exactly.
So this album, self-reflection. I think where we've been, what we're going through, where we are, where we're going. You know, it's got it all. This was written during COVID. And the first two tracks I call slow burns. No pun intended, but track 2 is Slow Drain, about someone who was the leader of the U.S. That's what I think it's about. By the third song, the album picks up a little bit with Feed Your Head, in which I think the chorus sounds similar to Quiet Riot's Mental Health, Bang Your Head. And Jeremy, I don't know if you listen to or know what the lyrics are in that song.
What, mental health will drive you mad?
No. No, Feed Your Head. I don't know if you picked up on it. But he actually mentions Allentown.
I didn't pick up on that.
The first two lines of the song. The machine is breaking down. She'll rust away like Allentown.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't catch it until I heard it for like the third time or something.
Bum, bum, bum,
like, is he saying Allentown? And for our listeners, we're like very near to Allentown.
We're living here in Allentown.
Yeah, when Billy Joel came out with that song, my parents got sick of me playing it, you know. I'm like, he's singing about Allentown, even though we didn't live in Allentown. So the best songs on the album for me are probably two of the slowest songs. Be Still, Father Time. Father Time I love.
Father Time is a good one.
Yeah. And there's...
I didn't mark any favorite songs from this one, but towards the back of the CD, you mentioned it picked up like 4 or 5 songs through, and that's kind of when I really loved the album. Not that there was anything wrong with the beginning, but it just, once it picked up, it stayed up for me.
I think Father Time's towards the end.
Yes.
And then I think there's 2 versions. There's an acoustic version.
Yes, there was.
Too.
Yes, there was.
With some good rockers, You Get What You Pay For, Crazy Times, and of course Feed Your Head. I think this is a great album by an old rocker.
Yep.
And also check out a song on there that's a cover song. It's Elvis Costello's Pump It Up. And I think it's a great version of that song. It's a different take on Pump, because I've heard Pump It Up done before by other artists, but I think Sammy somehow made this his own, you know. I mean, and that's a song like you don't think you can make your own, because it's, you know, everybody knows, you know, Pump It Up.
Well, he's always been great about making songs. Even you could play a Van Halen song at times, and he can still make it sound different, but good. Yeah. He's a very creative.
But I was surprised that it wasn't just slower songs. That he's actually rocking his voice lifts up, and he sounds incredible.
I wonder if he can drive 55 yet.
I don't know.
All right, my next album. I think I've mentioned these guys to you before. If not, I think I've mentioned them on the podcast. It's a band called Alter Bridge. Pawns and Kings was the album that came out in 2022.
Isn't that a band we're going to see?
Yes, it is. I don't know who they're opening for, but yes.
What? Jeremy. I'm older than you. You're forgetting things.
Oh, are they the main act?
We're going to see Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah. And Alter Bridge is opening.
Yeah.
Or is it vice versa? It's vice versa?
Yeah, because we talked about it.
I'm so looking forward to Wolfgang Van Halen.
I mean, we could stay for the whole concert if you want.
I'd love to do that.
Okay.
So Alter Bridge, I've actually seen them before. They're very good live. They have a lot of energy. Hard rock band. But What I found interesting about this album was there's only 10 songs on the album. 5 of them made it as singles.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how common that is, but it seems pretty rare that half of your album also gets released as a single. The album's 53 and a half minutes long. They do have a lot of instrumental breaks, but I'm okay with that. I guess I sound hypocritical here in a sense, but I don't mind a long song if something's going on in the song. What I do mind is if a song is just dragging on pointlessly.
Or if the instrumental is not that great.
Yes, and it doesn't.
Or if it's repetitive.
If it doesn't keep you into it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's that ELO song? Fire on High. Is that the one?
I don't know that one.
Oh.
I know Telephone and
I think it's ELO. Anyway, it's just an awesome instrumental. It keeps you locked in the entire time. But yeah, Alter Bridge, great. I love their 2022 album, but actually they're one of the few bands that, again, I saw them live before I actually started listening to their music. Yeah. And after seeing them, it intrigued me to go, you know, what else do they have out there? And
what's the name of the album?
Pawns and Kings.
Okay.
Is that on your list?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, number 7 for me is Bruce Springsteen. Only the Strong Survive.
That's on my list.
So it's amazing. After 20 albums spanning almost 50 years, Bruce finally puts out an R&B soul album. And of course, Bruce isn't really, you don't think of R&B and soul with Bruce.
Right. But
Bruce's first band, the Castiles, played a ton of soul covers in their set back when Bruce was in high school, a long time ago. So Bruce and soul music go way back. This album has 15 songs on it. And, of course, they're all cover songs. But some good ones are Soul Days, which features the one and only Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. Sam and Dave did the song Soul Man.
Yep.
Night Shift, I always liked that song.
Oh, man.
1985.
His cover of that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story? When I first tried to listen to this album, I wasn't signed in to Apple.
Okay.
So it was only allowing me to play that song. And I was like, man, I can't wait till the rest of this album is available. And then, I don't know, later I must have realized that I wasn't locked in.
Oh, okay.
There was the album. But I heard Night Shift 5 or 6 times because that was such a great version, great rendition of that song.
Yeah, I told a story on one of the podcasts with Mike that I normally didn't listen to like R&B back in 85. I was probably listening to still it wasn't classic rock. Yeah.
What we call classic rock now.
Probably the Cars and probably Led Zeppelin still and Cheap Trick. But I had, for some reason, I bought this cassette of the Commodores, and that was a song I loved. So I listened to that over and over. And then some other songs in here, When She Was My Girl. Now, this was a top 40 song for the Four Tops in 1981. And now Bruce slows this song down a little bit from the original. And then there's Don't Play That Song from 1962 from Benny King. Now, there are some obscure songs on the album. And not number one hits specifically. So I think this is a good combination of songs that maybe are they weren't number one hits. So maybe you'll be turned on to some songs. Maybe go back and listen to the originals like I did just to see how they, differ. And Bruce actually changed some of the lyrics in the Benny King song. So in the middle where Benny King talks it out a little bit. And he says, I remember on our first date, you kissed me and you walked away. You were only 17. I never thought you'd act so mean. You said, darling, I love you. But darling, you lied. So now Bruce, because maybe because of the 17, you know, people get upset.
Right.
Bruce's words are, I remember the summer nights down by the shore as the band played with you in my arms and we moved across the floor. But all I got to say is, I don't care if you lied. Let's dance. So Benny says, but darling, you lied. And Bruce doesn't care that she lied. He's going to dance
Right.
with her. And they're down at the shore, too. He doesn't say how old she is, either.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a great album.
Yes. Agreed.
If you don't like Bruce, I don't care. I was going to say listen to this still, but...
If you don't like Bruce, I would still listen to it because it's not a typical, Glory Days or
yeah,
whatever 8th Avenue Freeze Out. Like, it's just something different from him. But sounds great.
Well, people are so insane with music, movies now. And like I said, we don't get into politics or anything like that. But when I was younger, we didn't know. I guess we didn't know unless we saw an interview with someone on TV.
Right.
We just bought the album. Maybe it was a cool cover. You could see what the band looked like. And you listen to the music.
Yep.
But people don't want to do that. As long as, like I say, as long as someone didn't murder someone, then it gets personal, or is a pedophile or something like that,
rapist or something.
Yeah. But political, that's why we don't talk politics on here.
I agree.
And enough of that.
Yeah. My next album, looking this up surprised me. So it's Skid Row. The gang's all here. Any guesses the number album that this was for Skid Row as a band?
18.
See, I would have thought something like that too. 6.
Well, I said 18 because I was thinking of their song, probably. Isn't there a song called
18 in Life? Yeah. No, only 6 albums. Sebastian Bach was gone for a while.
This is a different singer.
Yes, but this is his first album. Sounded really good too. But yeah, even with the 2 previous singers, still only 6 albums. So that caught me a bit off guard for sure. Opens up with Hell or High Water, and you've got immediate Skid Row, just rock feel. Mm-hmm. The Gang's All Here, the title track, is second. But by the time you get to the 4th track, Time Bomb, it just elevates to a different level of just energy and rock. I loved this album. They closed it out with a song called World on Fire, which was also fantastic. And I really thought that this new lead singer sounded really good. I got a chance to see these guys, I don't know, 7-8 years ago now. So it was the second singer. Thought he was okay, but he really struggled with high notes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, obviously, studio recording. You're able to protect your voice. You're able to, cover things up.
Yeah.
But it sounded very good. It sounded crisp. So I'd be curious to see how they sound live.
Yeah.
So.
Now, there's got to be some original members.
There is.
Okay.
Yes.
And aren't they? They're from New Jersey, aren't they? Pennsylvania.
They are. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure. Okay.
Because we interviewed this A&R girl, and one of her first bands that I don't know if she managed them, but she was. I could have swore they were from around Allentown. And it was before Sebastian Bach joined the group.
Toms River, New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
So she kind of managed, she was there when, I guess, Sebastian Bach joined the band, everything. And now he's not in it anymore.
Yeah.
Again. So my next band, I'm sure you've never heard of, Jeremy. And you're going to laugh when I say the name.
Okay. We might have this in common then.
I should have worn my shirt because I actually have a shirt.
Yeah?
Let's Eat Grandma.
What?
No, wait a minute. It's not what it sounds like. There's an apostrophe in there. Let's Eat Grandma, not Let's Eat Grandma.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And the album's Two Ribbons.
Oh, that's the band.
Yeah.
Let's Eat
Grandma.
All right.
This was another album I think I just stumbled upon.
How did you not stumble upon?
But this album is a little odd because it's pop synth, almost new wave, right? But it's only half the album is that. Like, I wish they continued with more of that type of music. It's two girls, Rosa and Jenny. They're from England. They met when they were 4 years old. They're now in their early 20s. So I think this is like two EPs. First 5 songs are pure pop synth, but exactly halfway through the album, with song 6, we have a 30-second song called Half Light, and then it goes into a nice acoustic song called Sunday. So no more synthesizers, right? Then there's another short instrumental with birds and some whistling. And then the last 2 songs are like really slow songs. And I actually wanted to put this higher once I really listened to this. You know, I was just blown away by the first like 4 or 5 songs, but I couldn't give it any higher rating because it like I said, it changes halfway through. Now, Elton John interviewed them last year. That's how popular they're becoming.
Wow.
He mentioned them as one of his favorite bands of 2022.
Awesome.
And they even opened for Elton at his Hyde Park concert on June 24th of last year. So that's Let's Eat Grandma.
All right.
And I actually have a shirt I just got. So I want to wear it, see if anybody, you know. I mean, I could probably, I think I'll wear it to Chiller.
There you go.
Because they'll think, you know, it just said, they'll think it's up from a horror movie.
Yeah, probably.
Like, ooh, what movie is that? Right.
My next album is pretty recent, and you can probably guess what it might be. We talk about her quite often on the podcast.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, Midnights. I think one of the funniest things to me that stands out about this album, do you remember when it first came out, you were texting me?
Okay.
Do you remember what you were texting me?
No.
Oh my God. I'm disappointed. This album spit out 10.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. 10.
Top 10.
Top 10 songs off of the same album.
Mm-hmm.
The most for any album ever. And I think Jim at one point texted me that, what is there, like 17 songs on this?
15.
15 songs. 14 of them, I believe, were in the top 20.
No, I think all 15. I think all 15 were.
I don't remember the exact text message, but yes, practically the entire album was in the top 20 or 25, and it was just mind-blowing.
Well, what's also odd is that I mentioned on the podcast when we talked about this that I said, well, Lizzo or Drake must not have an album out.
Yes, that's right.
And then Drake comes out with an album and knocks her off, except I think the number 1 song. I was just like coming up with a couple names.
Yeah.
You know, how did I know?
But this was their 10th studio album. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And obviously so did everybody else. And
she's not on, believe it or not, my top 15.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Because I didn't like this album as a whole.
We can't be friends anymore. I'm just kidding.
I couldn't. I liked her last couple albums. I mean, I think I might have tried listening to it a second time. I do like Anti-Hero. Vigilante shit I like. And the video for Anti-Hero you got to see.
Yes.
But I also was, everybody's, gets offended by everything these days, and had Taylor Swift edit her freaking video because her scale, this is a personal song, right? But everybody else takes it personally. And her scale said FAT on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
They had her they wanted her to remove it, and she's a good person, so she removed it from the video.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But check out that video for Anti-Hero. She's like, there's people at her funeral. I won't go into the whole, but listen to the song and or watch the video. But yeah, I don't know, something about this album I didn't feel was. I know everybody is talking about it, and she was selling out concerts, but that's what popular music does, and she's so popular.
Mm-hmm.
So people just streamed it, wanted to hear it. And I know Jeremy I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, but maybe Jeremy's a little
bigger.
Maybe a little biased. No.
Maybe. Hey, maybe it's possible.
I wanted to put her on this list. Okay, so I'm at number 5, Dana Fuchs, Borrowed Time, blues album. And we got to interview Dana last year. Now, this album entered Billboard Blues album chart at number 4. So it's a good combination of blues rock and some stripped down blues. Now, Dana, I don't know if you're not familiar, she has kind of a raspy voice. She actually played Janis Joplin off Broadway. She was also in the movie Across the Universe, which is the Beatles movie. She played Sadie. She got to sing with Bono. Okay, let me talk about the album. So it's basically her and her musical partner, John Diamond. And he's an incredible guitarist. Now, I also saw Dana live last year at this really small bar in New Jersey. Great place. I've seen her at bigger places, but she had her whole band with her, drummer, bass player. But John Diamond, her guitarist, I think could play anything. Like, you could walk up to him and ask him to play. You could ask him to play Jimi Hendrix song, and he'd play it note for note. Now, she's put out a lot of albums before this, but I honestly think this is one of her best, if not her best album. And like I said, it's totally blues album. The songs I like that stand out are Double Down on Wrong, Hard Road, Not Another Second on You. That has to be my absolute favorite song. And when I saw her, she played that, I was happy. Sounds like the Stones. It's got a Stones sound to it. And the song Star. So that's my number 5, Dana Fuchs.
All right. My next album is an album that covers just about every musical rock genre that you can possibly cover. Okay. The album's called The Car, and it's by the Arctic Monkeys.
I've heard of them.
This album covers, but is not limited to only, art rock, orchestral rock, lounge pop, baroque pop, funk, jazz, glam rock, soul music, electronic music, bossa nova, traditional pop, and film soundtrack music. That's all listed on the reviews. You get everything. Mm-hmm. You've got energy, you've got creativity, you've got different sounds that all blend together and combine into one very well. This is a band I don't know a lot about even now.
They've been around a while.
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I've never looked into their music or, seen them or anything like that. This album was just so cool. It was 37 minutes long, 9 songs, right in that sweet spot. And every track was its own, but it worked together where the next song didn't take you out of the rhythm. So The Car by the Arctic Monkeys.
Okay.
Give you a little bit of everything on one CD, one album.
So number 4, Madison Cunningham, Have you heard of her?
I've heard the name.
It's the album Reveler. It's her third album. Now, she's a cross between, we say, Sheryl Crow, Joni Mitchell, and Suzanne Vega. Now, Paste actually had this at number 38, and Rolling Stone had this at number 4, which is remarkable for Rolling Stone. I give them credit. Because I want to tell you something. On my 15 albums I have here, there's only 2 that were on either one of their lists.
Wow.
Like, Sammy Hagar is not on any of the lists. You know, Bruce is not on any of the lists. It's almost like these people didn't come out with albums. I don't understand. Anyway. So, I've listened to this album probably 3 or 4 times. Now, she's also up for 2 Grammys. Best Folk Album, Best American Roots Performance. I wouldn't say it's entirely folk. I wouldn't say it. I think it's a cross in between alternative and folk, but not truly folk. Like that album that we talked about in the last podcast, one of the album roulette, Big Thief. I mean, that's listed as alternative. That's definitely, I played you one of the songs.
Right.
It's definitely like folksy, hillbilly.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. So hopefully she'll win a Grammy. Now, she was at the last Grammy Awards. I think it was the last one. 2 years ago. And she said she was mistaken. She's hoping it goes a little bit better than the last time, because she was mistaken as wait staff during her last Grammy party 2 years ago. Because they didn't know,
Right.
She's not a familiar face.
Yep.
This album's just good, really good, refreshing sound. Songs I like are Hospital, Life According to Rachel. I want to say this is one of the greatest songs written from last year. You have to listen to it. I can't describe it. Life According to Rachel, it's just incredibly written song. It's kind of a sad song, but really, you really feel the song. You really feel, what she's trying to say. And so anyway, number 4, that was for me, Madison Cunningham.
My last album that I have that isn't a duplicate with a couple that you've already mentioned was another band that came up as a recommendation based on other artists that I like. And they were called Dragon Hammer. And the album was called Second Life. Again, it was a lot like Avenged Sevenfold, Iron Maiden, the band that I listed earlier, Wolfheart. Heavy guitar, lots of drumming, just like a power, hard rock, metal album from top to bottom. Again, it wasn't too long. There were, I don't have it in front of me here, but I want to say there was like 9 or 10 songs again. Another 45-minute album right in that sweet spot. And it was just this, along with the Wolfheart that I talked about earlier. It was cool to stumble upon these bands because they were somebody that I'd never even heard of before, and they just popped up as something as I might like. And sure enough, I did. I love when, and we've talked about this before, but when Apple Music gives you recommendations that are good, because it helps you discover new music that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
What I dislike is when they give you, you might like this, and you listen to it, and it's like, what made you in a million years think that I would like that? This was one of their good recommendations. So, last one on my list was Dragon Hammer.
Okay. Well, I've got 3 more.
Yeah, I know you covered 2 that I had.
Okay. So number 3.
Close us out.
So number 3, I have Liam Gallagher. I always liked Oasis. I know they're trying to be the Beatles.
Yep.
love, but I also think they also love the Beatles. It's hard to say that they were trying to be the next Beatles.
Well, after all, they're your wonder wall.
Yeah. And they both have, well, especially Liam has strong personality. So I think that was the problem. Maybe people were turned off by him. But now Noel has put out, I think, 2 or 3 albums.
Okay.
And Liam, I didn't realize that he had been putting out albums. I just thought he decided not to record anymore or tour or anything. Because all I hear is the fighting between the two brothers.
Right.
But this album is incredible. Come On, You Know, it's called. And Liam told Apple Music before it came out, some of it's odd. I'd say 80% of the record is peculiar, but still good, and 20% of it is classic. This sounds like pumped up Oasis. I always liked Liam's voice. This I'm telling you, I just simply love this album. Probably 3 or 4 times at least. And all the things you'd expect, snarky lyric, even jabs at his brother, Beatles references in the songs. The song Don't Go Halfway, I think could have been on Sgt. Pepper's album. Now, in the past, I'd hoped, Oasis would reform. But I think Liam's doing good on his own. I'd love to see Liam. I was going to say Liam Neeson. Liam Gallagher perform, live. Now, I don't know if you know about the infamous MTV Unplugged episode.
No.
And that's where it all went to hell.
Okay.
It was 1996. Oasis was set to perform on MTV's Unplugged after the release of their second album. But when it came down to it, Liam was largely absent. During the 2-week rehearsal period for the performance, Liam only made 3 appearances and reportedly wearing the same clothes each time. So the day of the performance, he hadn't turned up, and there were rumors that he had been out drinking for a couple of days. And Noel stated in an interview after the fact, and nobody knew where he was. So about an hour before we were due to go on, he turned up absolutely shit-faced. We said, well, look, let's see if he can sing a couple of songs. And he says it was fucking dreadful. So Oasis ended up going on without Liam. Now, I don't know if I saw this. I don't think the Unplugged was live. But I know I saw this when it came out because it was a big thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So Noel took over Liam's duties as the frontman, singing. And then Liam was in the house that night, or in where they were performing, and he was up in the balcony. I remember this, sitting there heckling his brother during the performance. But he wasn't mic'd, so I don't think you could.
Right.
You could probably see him mouthing stuff. Yeah. So I think that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I didn't know they were like big Beatles fans, but I always think of that song "Don't Look Back in Anger."
Yeah.
And it was like a straight ripoff.
There's a lot of Beatles, yeah,
of a Beatles song, but
I'm sure Liam made comments, about being bigger than the Beatles or something like that.
Wow.
But this album, you got to give it a listen. Songs that really stand out: track 2, "Diamond in the Dark," "Don't Go Halfway," "Too Good for Giving Up." Just a beautiful song. That song is just it's piano, drums, strings. It Was Not Meant to Be, and that's another really nice song. Okay, number 2, I have Beth Orton, "Weather Alive," and I've talked about her before. I actually saw her last year.
Yep.
It's the only, I'm telling the truth here, it's the only concert I've ever gone to by myself. Because no one else would go with me.
Was this the Philadelphia concert?
No, this was in New Jersey.
Okay.
it was Montclair. It's in a church. It's called the Outpost in the Burbs. I've seen a couple concerts there. So it's literally a church, a huge church. So you sit in the pews, and they have a stage, I guess where the pulpit would be. So I've heard about her like a long time ago, and kind of forgot about Beth Orton. She was around in the late 90s. And in the 2000, she won Best British Female at the 2000 Brit Awards. So her newest album, I really love it. She's very unique. Her voice is very unique. And they are slow songs. There's nothing really rock and roll or anything. But nothing really that again, will put you to sleep. Now, she's from England. She's 52, so relatively young. Now, this is also listed as alternative, but I wouldn't call it. I'd call it, I came up with a word. I think I came up with this word. Folktronica. Electronic folk.
There you go.
Actually, maybe I didn't make that word up. Someone to tell me. So each song is, I think, a journey. The first song, Weather Alive. I think these songs you have to be in the mood. I think this is an album to put on, not while you're driving, but while you're just relaxing at home. The first song is 7 minutes long. And for a first song, it's really got to pull you in. Like I said, the first couple songs, the shortest song on the album is 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. There's no really short songs in there. Oh. Now, there's 8 songs in the album, but the 3 tracks I'd listen to are 2 Friday Night, which is, if you want to say pop, but the most poppy-ish of the... the most different of the songs that are on this album. Track 6 is Lonely, and track 1, Weather Alive. So that's my number 2, Beth Orton. And I was kind of disappointed because I hoped, when I've gone to these concerts at the church, they always come out, and meet the fans, but she didn't.
Oh, man.
But I still bought the vinyl.
Number 1.
And it's probably nothing nothing on here is what you expect, I guess. But
no, apparently only two of them matched. That was it.
Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs.
Who?
Come on. Mike Campbell. He's was in a very famous band with a very famous singer, songwriter, who we lost, 4 years ago. Come on, Jeremy. He was in the Heartbreakers.
Tom Petty in the Heartbreakers. Okay.
So Mike Campbell was the lead guitarist.
Okay.
And I think what happens, when you have a pet, and you have a pet for such a long time, you start to look like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Campbell sounds like Tom Petty.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, and I didn't really know what he sounded like till probably maybe a couple years ago, when he's, because he has this band. I think this is his second album.
Okay.
So maybe when he put the first album out, I'm like, he sounds, not exactly, but some of the songs you can really hear Tom Petty. And he wrote or co-wrote Refugee,
mm-hmm.
Here Comes My Girl, You Got Lucky, Running Down a Dream with Tom Petty. Okay. So this is a really good rock and roll album. Just almost I want to imagine that they recorded it all together, which some people do. Instead of okay, you record your guitar part. I think this had to be all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
Right.
Yep.
Woo.
Yeah. Okay. So the first song's Wicked Mind, and this pulls you right in. You know where you're getting. Reminds me of Running Down a Dream, actually, but it's a little faster. I have to say this is another best song for me from last year. Track 2 is Bridget Bardot. This sounds like a fast Bob Dylan song. The third song, Cheap Talk, slows down a little bit. And I don't know, it's weird because it's called Cheap Talk. I was thinking of Cheap Trick. But we hear a woman making some sexual noises in the song. And then she goes, I think it's the same woman singing at the end. But even the guitar sounds like Rick Nielsen. Could be, you know. Other songs, Dirty Job, State of Mind, with country singer Margot Price, who I also like. It's weird. I never really listened to a lot of country, but I've been getting into a little bit more of the newer country. Margot Price just put out a new album, which I listened to a little bit of. So Dirty Job is with Ian Hunter, who was in Mott the Hoople, All the Young Dudes. But it's weird. His voice sounds like the guy from ZZ Top, Billy Gibbons.
Yep.
So, and he is, I want to say he's like, Ian Hunter's like 82, 83. So
Wow.
I think his voice has gotten to the point where it's a little, you know, rougher. And I looked up, Ian Hunter also wrote Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Little music trivia, covered by Great White. And he wrote Cleveland Rocks.
There you go.
So most people, if you know Ian Hunter, you know he wrote those songs, but you wouldn't think the guy that wrote All the Young Dudes wrote those other songs, but he did. So I check out, that's my number one. So Mike Campbell, Dirty Knobs, External Combustion. I like that name too. So check that out.
Great list.
Okay, so that does it for our 2022 list. And there's a lot of, you know, good music hopefully coming out this year. We're only in January, so.
Oh, we got a U2 album coming, right?
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah, March 17th. 3 of them.
Within the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully U2 will tour next year. But
yeah.
So our next podcast, well, after this one, there is an interview I did with Chris Canterbury. He's a country singer. He's from Nashville. And then our next regular one, we're going to be talking about Buddy Holly in February. So buckle up.
All right.
For Buddy Holly.
Sounds good.
Okay. Everybody, thanks for listening. Again, email us if you want, nogoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll talk to you later.
Ciao.
You've been listening to No Good Music. Intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show was produced and edited by Jim Thatcher and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.